What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about prison contraband. More specifically than that, we're going to be talking about how drugs get into prison. I'm going to throw in a couple little stories for you guys, and we're going to chop it up about how drugs find their way into maximum security prisons. Before we get started, I want y'all to know I'm not glorifying or glamorizing going to jail or prison. And if I have ever made a video and you have taken away from that video that I'm glamorizing prison, then I feel really bad for you because you've missed my message. So that is not my intention on this channel, and I'm sorry if you have ever misinterpreted that as glamorizing prison. It is my hope that in sharing my stories, I will be able to deter some of you guys from going down that path. Or maybe you guys have family members in prison and you want to know what their life is like inside. That is the purpose of this channel. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Hold on, one more thing. I know. So I just finished High Achiever by Tiffany Jenkins. It is such a good book. For those of you that don't know, Tiffany Jenkins is also a blogger. She mostly does Facebook stuff, but she does have a YouTube channel as well. She wrote a book and it's about her addiction and her story. Such an easy read. Read it in 3 days. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I will link that down below. It's only like $8 on Amazon, so go copy you a book. I just got Tweak in the mail too, so I'm reading that. Okay, did you guys really think I was just gonna start this video and act as if I'm not in a new background? So hey, this is my new filming room, and I just want you guys to know, if you don't like the brick backdrop, it is very difficult to find an appropriate backdrop for a prison mental health addiction female YouTuber. You know what I mean? If you do not like the brick background, don't worry. My storytime videos will be more of a couch candle vibe, and I'm setting that up in the next week or so. So stay tuned. All right, prison contraband. I know someone's gonna timestamp where the video actually starts, but everything I have to say is important. So you guys ask me all of the time, were you able to get drugs in prison? Are you able to get high in prison? How do drugs end up in prison? What is the protocol with that? What do the guards do when drugs are found in prison? There is so much on this topic that you guys have asked me, so I thought I would just break it down and make one video out of it. So when I was first getting locked up, and there are more stories if you're brand new in the description box down below, but when I was first getting locked up in New York, the most popular thing that you would find in jail and then prison was two things: weed and heroin. It was very easy to find those two things. Over the years that has switched, and the most commonly used drug in New York State prisons right now is Suboxone. The strips are really easy to get in, and that is what is being used in New York State prisons right now. So let's start with my experience with finding drugs in jail. First you go to county jail, then you go to prison. In jail and prison, two completely different worlds. In my personal experience, I saw more drugs in county jail than I saw in prison, but I still saw drugs in prison. So a lot of the times people will smuggle it into the jail in a body cavity. So I have seen plenty of drugs, pills, heroin, whatever they want to smuggle in a body cavity. It is very, very common. That's probably the most common way to get drugs into a facility. And this is not dry snitching. This is very well known. Everyone knows this. Guards, cops, inmates, everyone knows. This is how you get drugs into prison. I'm not dry snitching, okay? So a body cavity is first and foremost. That is how drugs find their way into jails. Even with the squat and cough method, which, oh, that is a horrifying experience to have to go through. But you know, to be fair, no one's having a good time, okay? It's not fun for anyone. The officers are just as well, not just as uncomfortable. The officers are uncomfortable, and then of course the inmates are uncomfortable having to go through that squat and cough thing. It's terrible, but it is not foolproof. It is not foolproof. You can get things through even with the whole squatty and cough thing. Yes, I just did the visual, I know. Anyway, moving on. There have been a lot of different ways to get drugs in the mail. This is kind of an outdated thing. So what people would do was they would either put maybe a little bit of acid or THC liquid, like the oil. Is it tincture? whatever, they would put that behind stamps. So then the jails and the prisons started to get very wise to, oh, it's coming in from behind the stamps in small amounts. So then what the jails were doing is they were ripping off the corner of the envelope. So, oh, you're putting it behind stamps? We're gonna rip the stamp off of the envelope and we're gonna give you the envelope without the stamp. Then people were dipping whole pages of paper in methamphetamine or whatever they wanted to get in, and they were selling. You could do this with acid, you could do this with meth, you could really do this with a lot of different things. They were just soaking the paper in it and drying it out and putting it in cards or whatever they wanted to. Then jails and prisons started to get wise that they were putting it on whole sheets of paper. So then what facilities started to do is they started eliminating giving inmates mail directly from the outside world. What they do now is, in a lot of facilities, every place is different, but a lot of facilities photocopy the mail. So what they do is they photocopy the original letter that comes in, they throw away the letter, and they hand the inmate the photocopied version of their letter. So that's a big thing that they've been doing, and other facilities have completely eliminated most mail, and now they do email, they do JPay, they do core links if it's federal prison. So that way it's an email and it's not physical mail coming in. Inmates are allowed to email on a kiosk that is in the units. The same kiosk you can order commissary on. I know certain kiosks in certain facilities, you can request a medical visit or whatever. You can put in the kite. A kite is a letter to medical saying, I need to get into medical for whatever reason. So that is what that is for. But yeah, kiosks are in a lot of these prisons, a lot of facilities. I do know that certain facilities are also allowing inmates to have tablets. So I know that is kind of controversial as well. I have very strong opinions on the prison system that we have in place. I think drug addicts have no place in prison. I think drug addicts need treatment. And I can make an entire video on that, on prison reform. If you guys want to see that video where I kind of outline prison reform and all the things I think we're doing wrong and maybe some things that I think that we have right, let me know in the comment section down below and I would be happy to make that video for you. As a student in my 4th year, about to graduate with my bachelor's degree in criminal program support services / psychology, I've studied corrections and statistics on corrections and recidivism and rehabilitation and treatment and mental health in prison for the last 4 years. So if you guys want that video, let me know. Okay, let's get back on track. Another way that people are getting drugs into prison, and these are probably really obvious for a lot of you guys, one of the ways is staff members. Staff members bring it in. And this is something that I think is so wrong for staff members to do this. However, I can understand, and here's why. When you pay a correctional officer dog shit and they have a mortgage and they have kids and they're trying to make ends meet, some people succumb to that pressure where they're not making enough money, they're overworked. Correctional officer fatigue is a real thing, and it's very difficult to do their job. You know, it's very difficult to work 12 hours, 5 days a week to bring home not enough money to pay your bills and to take care of your kids. That's how people fall into that trap of bringing things into inmates. And it doesn't start out with drugs. An inmate doesn't go up to an officer and say, can you bring me in some heroin? That'd be great, bro. No, they say, let me get a cigarette. You know, they start really, really small with legal things that officers can get very easily. Maybe it's a cell phone. Maybe it's they drop a cigarette, then they drop a pack of cigarettes, then they drop more cigarettes. Legal things that are so easy for us to obtain in the outside world are so difficult for inmates to obtain, so they are willing to pay any amount of money to get these things. Cigarettes, cell phone, drugs, whatever it is they want. So that's a big one, is officers bringing it in. And I understand why they do. We need to take care of our officers and pay them more money so that they can take care of their family and so that they don't succumb to this pressure. And inmates are very clever. Inmates know how to look and see that you are stressed out over money. We know if 1 week you're wearing a wedding ring and this week you're not wearing a wedding ring. We know that something seems off with you. We can see that stress. Inmates are literally trained, and I know that sounds crazy, but we're trained to pick up on every single emotion and mood that these officers have. And what inmates will do is they will slowly pick away and they'll slowly chip away at these officers. And some officers do fall victim to bringing in drugs or contraband, and eventually they get caught and they go to prison for that. And I know it seems so crazy, like why would these officers do that? That is why. They're not paid enough. We don't take care of them enough, and inmates are very wise and very manipulative. And the 48 Laws of Power, it's a book, is a very popular Bible-like book to a lot of inmates. So let's go to some new school shit on how inmates get drugs in prison. You guys, they are literally dropping drugs in prison from drones. Like, that is so new school that I've never seen that in my life. Never have I seen a drone. Never. But I have friends in federal prison that have told me straight up drones. I even had one of my friends last year tell me that a drone crashed into the guard tower and they were really upset because a shipment got lost. That is how shit is happening now. I mean, drones? What? Okay, an old school way that drugs end up in prison is through the visitation room. And this is a very risky thing that I would not recommend. And if anyone asks you to do this, tell them to kindly fuck off, because if you get caught doing this, you're gonna go to jail. So a lot of visitors bring drugs into their body cavity and they switch it on the visitation floor, and the inmates know what to look for. They know when the guards look away, they know which guards are gonna let things slide and which guards are not gonna let things slide. The offender will tell the visitor, it's clear, take it out, and either the inmate will put it in a body cavity, go to the bathroom and put it in a body cavity, or they will swallow it. It is not only very risky, as in you could go to jail, but imagine swallowing a balloon of heroin and then it breaks open and you die. You're putting your life at risk to do that. And again, I know that seems far-fetched, like why would anyone put their body through that? Addicts do not care. They do not care. If you told me when I was doing time in New York, all I had to do was swallow a balloon of heroin and I would be set for the month and I wouldn't have to be sick, you're damn straight I would have done that. I wouldn't even have thought long term. I wouldn't have thought that I might die. And that's just kind of the mindset of an addict. By any and all means necessary, we're gonna get what we have to get so that we're not sick. A lot of the time, heroin addicts are not trying to get high, we're just trying to not be sick. I kind of want to throw in here a reason why inmates want to do drugs so often is because it's an escape. It is an escape. Prison is awful, and I understand it's prison, it should be. I don't expect it to be like a freaking Holiday Inn, but it is torturous, it is mentally draining, it is very difficult. I have seen the strongest and the toughest people break inside of prison. It is very hard. And around 60% of people leave prison with PTSD. So we are not rehabilitating, we are not helping, we are hurting. And a lot of people have this assumption like, just don't go to prison then. Don't break the law then. Like, okay, Judy, it's a lot more complex than that. If you make one mistake and you go to prison, it is very difficult to get your life together outside of prison once you have that mark on your record. But I'm living proof that it is not impossible to do that at all. Is it tough? You're damn right it's tough. But things that come easy never last. So in a way, I'm glad that it was hard on me, but at the same time, oh my God, you guys, the struggle is real when you're trying to climb up out of addiction, being a felon, reintegrating yourself into society. And a lot of times people say, well, screw it. You're not gonna hire me, you're not gonna rent me, I'm just gonna be the dirtbag that you think I am. And it's very tough to pull yourself out. But like I said, it's not impossible. It is very beneficial to our society that we rehabilitate offenders. We don't just lock them in a cage and treat them like a dog, that we rehabilitate them. That is best for everyone. It's best for the offender, it's best for the offender's family, and it's best for society, that we don't have people constantly breaking the law and going to prison. This is a very layered and very deep problem. So if you want more videos on that, you just let me know. All right, you guys, I think I've covered most of how drugs get into prison. I'm sure there are ways that I didn't mention or that I just simply forgot about, but I wanted to make this video just to kind of shed a light on not only how they get into prison, but why. You know, why would a guard bring that into prison? How would they bring it into prison? What makes a guard do that? Why would the individual want it, you know? So if I left something out, let me know in the comment section down below. But I'm gonna end today's video here. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober. Do not smuggle drugs into prison for someone, because I guarantee you, you're gonna go to jail. And I will see you guys in my next one. I have been reading, shit. Does this look like the secret bar from Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life? Oh my God. Just filmed the whole video with lipstick on my teeth.